ma'am.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Anita for those of you who don't know me, and please everyone go on mute because there'll be plenty of time for question and answers, which you will put in the chat window. So anyway, I have logged into my own portfolio on Bharosa Club, into my own account on Bharosa Club, and I went to tools. So I'm in tools and the model portfolio, okay? So I'm going to explain this in some detail so that you understand what we are placing before you as model portfolios, whether you're a new investor or an existing investor. You may have been investing for a really long time on various portals, on Bharosa, etc. But I think this is something that you should go through in detail when you have some time. So the first model portfolio that we have is a small case portfolio, which consists of 3 small cases, one low risk, one moderate risk, and one high risk. So each of these is a link. You can click the link and go and read more about these small cases, and we encourage you to do so. So read the blog posts, read the fact sheet, understand the methodology. We have been through it and we're placing these before you, but we do request you to do this for yourself because, like we keep saying, never outsource your thinking. It's good to understand what you're doing. So one, we have the small case portfolio, and the next we have a mutual fund portfolio, and we have recommended percentages. You may obviously change these percentages to suit your risk profile. Now, if you click the performance tab, you will see that this is a performance tab which monitors these portfolios on a daily basis. So this reflects the prior day's NAV. And the first section is just the Bharosa Top 150 small case. We compare it with the Nifty 100, which is the benchmark that we compare this with because it's a large cap. And this changes, like I said, on a daily basis. And you'll see since launch, which is exactly a year ago, the return has been 24.53%, whereas the Nifty 100 was 1.95. So we are better by 22.56, etc., etc. We have, since market peak, what has been the return. So the market peak date was 17th of January, etc. You can examine the 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, and 1 year performance. Under that, we have the model portfolio for mutual funds. So this is exactly the basket of mutual funds in the proportion that we had suggested. What is the return had you invested in exactly that proportion? Again, we have 1, 3, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years because mutual funds have a longer history. So therefore, we could give you 3 and 5 years. And then you have the returns of the small case portfolio in the proportion that was mentioned on the model portfolio page, the earlier page that you viewed. Okay. Now we have compared both these model portfolios with fixed deposits, and we've taken the rate of return of the fixed deposit as 7.03 per annum. And the reason we've compared these with fixed deposits is we find that a lot of people even today put their money away in fixed deposits because they are guaranteed, they're safe, etc., etc. In their mind, this is the best place to put them. But we'd like to compare these with fixed deposits for you to make an informed decision on, how investments like mutual funds and small cases have performed over the years, and maybe you're missing out, and maybe you should look at alternative ways of investing rather than sticking to fixed deposits. In our opinion, fixed deposits, are a thing of the past, but you need to examine this data to decide for yourself. Now, which one is right for you as an investor? It's hard for us to recommend which one is right for you. You need to look at the FAQs and go through each of these and decide which one is right for you. We have the rationale, we have who is this right for, the fees associated, the minimum investment, etc. And it is something that you have to go through to see, because one of the main differences between the small cases and the mutual funds is, for a small case, you need to have a brokerage account. And it's not a totally set it and forget it investment, because when a small case publisher rebalances, you will get a notification and you will have to rebalance yourself. You'll have to confirm the rebalance. Now, this is a very simple process. It's a click of a button, but you will have to do it yourself. So you get a message and you'll have to click the button. The other difference really is that in the case of a small case, the history does not go back so long because it's a new concept. So, you know, some people who really feel uncomfortable with just a 1-year history and stuff, they probably should just stick to mutual funds. We think 1 year is adequate, but if you don't, then mutual funds are right for you. So this is basically the model portfolio. Like I said again earlier, please go and read all the blogs, etc., to feel comfortable with the choice that you're making. Now I'm going to, whether you're a new investor or an existing investor, right? It's good to see how the funds, either that you're holding or the ones that you're planning to invest in, are doing compared to others in the same category. So we have a functionality under tools, it's called compare. So if there's any one single functionality that we think is extremely useful for our members, it is the compare functionality. So I'm going to spend some time going over this. The first tab in compare, it gives you the ability to compare small cases with mutual funds and stocks. It makes sense to compare apples with apples. So if you're comparing a large cap, you should compare it with another large cap. If you're comparing a small cap, it makes sense to compare it with a small cap. And stocks, you know, small cases and mutual funds are baskets of products, and stocks are individual. So it makes sense to compare stocks with stocks. So I'm going to now compare. I'll take one small case. So I'll go to Bharosa Club and I'll say Bharosa Top 150. Let's go to Axis. Oh, I can't seem to get to Axis because of this thing here. Anyway, I'll take HDFC.
I'll tell you when you get to Axis. Open it if you want to get to Axis.
Yeah, because the top thing for the.
Okay, go up one more. Go up one more.
Is it there? Okay, okay, great. Okay, so Axis Blue Chip, which is in our model portfolio for mutual funds, and let's take SBI. SBI Blue Chip, because a lot of people seem to love SBI. And these are the returns. Now, this is actual returns data. This is actual performance data. So you will see that the Bharosa Club return 1 month annualized was 107.83%. Axis Blue Chip was 39.47. SBI Blue Chip was 45%. 6 months annualized, etc. 1 year Bharosa Top 150 was 24.53. Axis Blue Chip was 8.42, and SBI Blue Chip was 3.2%. Now, there's no data against 3 and 5 years for Bharosa Top 150 because on this screen, you will only see data post-launch. So you will not see backtest data, whereas the two mutual funds do have 3 and 5 year returns on the screen. So this will help you evaluate one thing against another. So you can take all our model portfolio picks, you can compare them with the stuff that you have if you're an existing investor, or you can compare it with other recommendations that people keep talking about and see how they have done compared to each other. Now, let me just tell you that in compare schemes, we have only put diversified funds and diversified small cases, because we don't believe that you should be investing in sector specific small cases or mutual funds unless you understand the sector really well. Okay, so we haven't included them in this compare functionality. The next tab is large cap. Okay, so this tab is updated on the 1st of every month. It takes all the small cases and the mutual funds in the large cap category, so not stocks. It takes mutual funds and small cases, and we run the algorithm. The methodology of the algorithm is mentioned in the last tab, but we run the algorithm and rank these. This default sort order is the average rank. Now, this screen contains some 43 months of data, because for each month we take the 3 years prior data and calculate a rank. You will see on this screen that the first 5 are small cases. Access Blue Chip is in the 6th place, etc., etc. Now, this can be sorted by scheme name, by 1 month rank, 2 month rank, etc. And you can see where the funds that you hold stand in this ranking, or you can analyze a fund house by sorting them by scheme name. You can sort it whichever way you want to come to informed decisions about anything that you may be investigating. Similarly, you can go to the small...
Sorry, Anita, one thing I want to add here, which is really, really important.
Yeah.
While the first 5 indeed are small cases, one of the really important lines to read here is that small case ratings use backtest data.
Yes, yes.
So the thing is, most small cases have very little actual post-launch performance data, which means that to run algorithms, we've relied on the backtest data that the small cases have provided to small case. Now that data is of much lower quality than actual performance data, because the publishers could have gamed them and managed them without us knowing. So that's a really, really important proviso that you guys need to keep in mind when using the compare schemes tool. Be a little wary of the small case performance numbers, and always do your homework on the advisors, on the manager's strategy. That is vitally critical when picking small cases. It's also important when picking mutual funds, but far less so, particularly if you're picking diversified, balanced funds like we recommend you do.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an important point. So it's the same. We've done the same for the mid and small cap category, the tax saver category, the balanced category. And like I said before, this is updated once a month on the 1st of every month. In the large cap stocks, we really want to warn you to use this with care. Just because we have given something a 5-star rating doesn't mean that we are recommending that you buy this stock. Okay, there has been no fundamental analysis on this screen. We do fundamental analysis for our small case, but on this screen, it is purely performance based. So just because a stock has been performing really well does not necessarily mean you go and rush and buy it. It means it is one data point that helps you analyze this stock against something else.
Correct. This should give you a good idea of how stocks have performed over the past, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and in relation to other stocks. It's not going to tell you much about how these stocks will perform in the future. There you need to do your own homework and analysis, but it'll give you a good tool to screen stocks. And we use this to actually a variant of this to help us manage our small case.
So, the last tab is the methodology tab, which tells you how we have done we've simplified the how, we've done the rankings, so the 5-star and the 4-star, etc. Because one of the reasons we created our own star system, the rating system, was because we found that a lot of the existing websites did not really tell us how they were rating the mutual funds and etc. I mean, they're not rating small cases, but they were rating mutual funds, and they weren't really telling us how they were doing that, and we weren't quite satisfied with the results. So you can go through the methodology tab. Okay, so this pretty much covers compare schemes, and we do encourage people to come every once in a while, maybe after the 1st of every month, and just see what is happening with their investments. Has the rating fallen from 5 to 4? Should they be getting out, etc.? once a month is adequate for this, but it's something that we do recommend that you do. So,
yeah, I think that's a great point. The best way to use something like Compare is to look at your investments in Compare to make sure that they've performed adequately. And if they haven't performed adequately, ask yourself the question. So for example, you'll see in our Barossa Top 150 blog a month ago, we had trailed the market for 3 consecutive months. And, I provided a rationale as to why that was the case. Why we're not changing our portfolio even though we had underperformed in that period, and why we still had conviction in our picks. You should demand the same out of any manager that's managing your money, and of yourself. If you've underperformed, demand answers, and if the answers make sense to you, then stick around. Otherwise, then look to change your portfolio.
Okay, so now if you're using, you could use Barossa in 2 ways. One is you could use Barossa purely for the advisory, because we really think that the advice that we are providing is really transparent and the tools that we have provided are really good. And, so that's the biggest value that we provide to your investing. You may choose to transact on Barossa or outside of Barossa. We're fine either way. If you do transact on Barossa, you will need a CAN, a common account number from Mutual Fund Utility, and it's a fully electronic process. But anyways, if you don't choose to transact on Barossa, you can still upload your portfolio by clicking Dashboard and Fix Holdings. And you can, there's a first time upload, and you can keep repeating the upload every couple of months to upload your portfolio wherever you may have bought those mutual funds from. Okay. And then you will be able to see how those funds have been performing, etc. You don't even need to do that, because if you have the list of your funds, you can just see how they're performing. You can look at this 1-year performance of a fund using compare schemes. You can just see, and your 1-year performance, so you can compare them. Now, if you do upload your portfolio, there is one feature that I would like to point out to you. On the right side of the dashboard is a 1-year snapshot. It's a back testing, which we do. Now mine is showing 0 because what we do here is we compare your equity and debt investments in mutual funds. And I have done, because I only have tax saver. We exclude tax saver from this calculation. And we compare yours, so the funds that you hold, with a very, very simple strategy of an index fund and a debt fund, ultra short-term debt fund. Okay, and we show you how you would have done if you had followed a very simple approach. And what we are finding is that a lot of people come with really complicated portfolios, having all kinds of funds. And when they actually upload their portfolios, not too many of them are beating a very, very simple approach. So this is something that it may be useful for an investor to see, that, with all the kind of, funds that they've been investing in, getting into, out of, etc., how are they really doing as compared to just an index fund, right? And in this, you can go to other equity percentages. And so this is using 60-40, the one that's on the dashboard, but on the right, just under that is other equity percentages. And you can take a look at what so mine is all 0 because I don't have equity. I'm fully in small cases, but how would yours have done? Yours would be in the yellow band. So this helps you in 2 ways. It not only helps you in figuring out whether you need to simplify your approach, but it also helps you in understanding asset allocation in a better fashion. So I think that is it. That's it for now. Sanjay and Sahil, if you think I've missed out anything, please chime in. I don't want to go through capital gains, and transact and all that, because that doesn't need explanation in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think you gave a very good summary. Just a couple of things that I wanted to add. So if you go back to model portfolio, just click that. So look, we did these tabs not to recommend to everyone, these are the absolute best portfolios to use. There's a lot of art that goes into constructing portfolios. It's not a simple science saying that, this is the optimal mix, et cetera, et cetera. But these are ones that made sense to us, and they should serve as a guide for you. Even the percentages we've put here are percentages that on average we thought made sense, but you need to adjust these to reflect the realities that exist in your own life. Are you young? Are you close to retirement? Do you have lots of dependents? Can you afford to take a lot of risk, or do you need to be more cautious? So some of the things that you should think about are how you should deviate from the average. I think in terms of the decision of small cases versus mutual funds, I would say that if you are a novice beginner investor, don't even think twice, go into mutual funds. They're an easier product to understand. You don't have to do a lot of homework on the fund managers. I mean, they've got long reputations behind them. If you are more of an intermediate investor, look at the small cases. Because, even Bharosa Club Top 150, which is our small case, we've got 1 year of performance history, right? And while we've done well for that 1 year, we all know that things can change in the future, right? So it's really important that even for our investors in our small case, read everything that we've written, read how we're thinking about things. If you don't understand something, ask us, right? And make sure you agree with the strategy that's being used. That's really, really important in small case investing. There are also tax disadvantages to small cases because with high degrees of churn, you're going to see more short-term capital gains in small case portfolio than you're going to see in the mutual fund portfolio, because mutual funds are exempt from a lot of churn, the tax impact of churn in their portfolios. So that's also another consideration. But so the goal with these model portfolios are to give you some sense of what we think makes sense, so you can use it as a starting point for your portfolio planning.
Okay, and for those of you who are considering small cases, but have never done them before and would like to try them out, maybe the best way to try it out is with all-weather investing, because the minimum investment for all-weather investing is 5,000 rupees. And Bharosa Club, this keeps changing on a daily basis. So currently it's 5,000 rupees. Bharosa Club Top 150 is 1 lakh, I think 10,000 or something. Again, it keeps changing. So maybe a good way to get started with small cases is all-weather investing, if that's the way you want to try it on. And once you get comfortable with the app, their app is very good. Once you get comfortable with it, you may decide to invest more or get out of small cases, as the case may be. So I think that's it for now.
There are a bunch of questions.
Yes, Sanjay, do you want to ask the questions?
Okay, so the question is, would you mind explaining details of better worse percentage on the model portfolio? I think the performance. Yeah.
Okay, so the better worse is just the difference between the model portfolio and the benchmark. So in the case of Bharosa Top 150, the benchmark was Nifty 100. So we've just subtracted the two. So
yeah, so the idea, sorry to jump in, but the idea here is that see, with Bharosa Club Top 150, we're looking at the top 150 stocks in the Indian market and choosing amongst those stocks. So how well we choose or how poorly we choose is measured by comparing our performance to the average performance in the market. So the average performance in the market is this Nifty 100 value. That represents the average performance of the top 100 stocks in India weighted by market cap. And that will give you an idea of if we've outperformed or underperformed over the various periods that Anita was talking about. So, so you can see for 1 month, right? We've done 8.77% return, and the Nifty 100 has done a 3.63% return. So we outperformed by 5.14. But in the 3-month period, we delivered a 14.57% return versus a 20.72% return. So we underperformed by minus 6.15%. So a positive number in better or worse is outperformance. A negative number is a underperformance.
Okay. The next question is that I see that in almost all time periods, both MF model and small case model are beating an FV a lot, even though COVID happened. Why?
So, I think that this question, it's really a peculiarity of COVID. I mean, you can find crashes where that wouldn't be the case. But in the COVID period, because of the enormous monetary easing that you saw globally and because of the stimulus packages that you saw globally, the equity portfolios did not see big hits despite a lot of economic pain that's occurred. So equities were really shielded from this crisis in a way that they haven't been in prior crises. So that's one reason that you're seeing this. But a more broader reason is as you extend the time periods, equity tends to outperform in the long run. Even if you have enormous crashes, and the reason is because fundamentally the economy grows over time. And therefore, if you're investing in a return that's fixed, you're not participating in that growth. But if you invest in equity, you're participating in that growth. So if you're a long-term believer that the economy in India is going to generate positive growth in the future, it's a good idea to be in equity, have some exposure there. And if you're entirely in fixed income products, your portfolio will in all likelihood dramatically underperform over longer periods of time.
Okay. Also, small case doing much better than MF. Why?
So, I think that if you were to ask me why our small cases outperformed, the reason is that we were more agile in moving amongst our portfolio when information changed in the environment. So we were early in spotting the disruption of COVID and moving away from very cyclical stocks. And we were also early in switching into stocks that we thought would benefit and outperform in a market environment like this. So I think that, there's nothing intrinsic in the asset class that causes the performance dispersion, right? Because ultimately small cases are baskets of stocks, mutual funds are baskets of stocks. They're identical in that regard. The only thing that helps a small case is that in general, you tend to be more agile when you're not managing huge amounts of money. Mutual funds have huge amounts of money and huge AUM. So it's a lot harder for them to go in and out of stocks like you can in a small case. So I think that really drives the outperformance of small cases, higher degrees of churn that are possible if the churn is warranted.
Okay. The next question is, what are arrows on top of columns in compare? Why are all MF, Axis MF? And related to that question also is that the MF portfolio comprises of funds from one fund house, Axis MF. Is this not a concentrated risk?
I'm not sure what the arrows are.
The arrows are ascending, descending, maybe?
Yeah, no, this is sort, yeah.
Sort, yeah.
So you can change the sort order. So I've changed the current rank and I've changed it to average rank. That's it.
Yeah, no, so the arrows are very useful if you want to sort by a particular thing. So if you go to the large cap and you click on scheme name, for instance, right? So then you will have these kind of ranked by scheme name where initially you have all the small cases, but then later you have the fund houses, right? Like ABSL equity. So all the ABSL funds are there and then all the Axis funds are there. So if you just want to see how a mutual fund house is doing on their various funds, you can see that. Okay, and you'll see that Axis Mutual Fund has almost all of their funds rated 5-star, while ABSL doesn't and ICICI doesn't. And that kind of shows you why we kind of selected, um, in the model portfolio, funds from one fund house, because it just so happened that most of the Axis Mutual Fund funds were performing very well. And if you want to switch between funds and do whatever, then it becomes much easier transactionally to be with one fund house. Now, to answer the question of concentration of risk. Okay, so this is a very common misconception that people have, that, like if you take all your money in fixed deposits and put it in one bank, or you put things like that, right? So there is some rationale for saying, okay, let me choose 2 or 3 banks. But in mutual funds, that's not the case, because the mutual funds are not lending money. The money is still yours. You are the owner. You own the units. They are just the manager. So if a mutual fund company goes bankrupt, then they will just appoint another manager. So your funds are never at risk in a mutual fund, unlike a bank. So trying to split between fund houses to achieve diversification because of risk is not at all necessary. If you want to...
Yeah, so a couple of points to add on here. So one is that the Axis decision, it reflects the underlying performance of the underlying funds. And when we saw that Axis, and we've studied these mutual funds over a long period, and Axis has consistently performed well. And when we saw that the Axis funds were emerging as the picks that we would make across the board, then we said, even for the index funds, it makes a lot of sense to stay with one fund house, because it makes it, as Sanjay was saying, much more operationally easier for someone if all the funds are with one fund house. But look, and Sanjay's point is absolutely right, that in terms of concentration risk, ultimately, when you buy a mutual fund, you're investing in a specific vehicle, and the AMC is hired to manage that vehicle. You're not taking underlying exposure to the AMC. And ultimately, you're an owner of the assets that the mutual fund invests in. So unless a mutual fund house is completely using the same strategy with every fund, which is not the case with a lot of these broad fund houses, the only concentration, that's the only concentration risk you really could be taking with a mutual fund, if all their funds were being managed with the same thesis. And that's not the case. So we really don't see much of a risk in terms of having a concentrated portfolio. But that being said, there's no issues if people, say, you know what, I still want to be in different fund houses. I don't like just being in all the same. Then our recommendation is short. Pick a different index fund, pick a different Nifty fund, and you'll be in different fund houses then in that case. But just to reiterate, we have there's no tie-up with Axis or anything that we have. These are just basis our research.
Okay, the next question is, if we upload our holdings, then the evaluation reported is by which agency, Bharosa or Morningstar?
By Bharosa.
Okay. Then the next question is, I've seen...
The Bharosa rating methodology is also available somewhere on the site, right? So you can, where is that? Or methodology, the methodology tab. Yeah.
And the next question is, I've seen a lot of churn happening on small cases. Besides the tax on the short-term capital gains, the brokerage and other costs are quite impacting, especially if the invested amounts are small.
Sorry, what?
So the question is, I've seen a lot of churn happening on small cases. Besides the tax on the short-term capital gains, the brokerage and other costs are quite impacting, especially if the invested amounts are small.
So, Padmanabh, that's exactly right. That is one of the key disadvantages of being in a small case, right? So the fact that you're going to see a higher degree of short-term capital gains than you would in a mutual fund, because even if a mutual fund churns, they're exempt from paying short-term capital gains. So you don't even get that hit in a mutual fund vehicle. So that is definitely a drawback with small case investing, as well as the brokerage, et cetera, that you mentioned. My contention would be that if you find the right small case managers, they'll more than make up for that through alpha versus the mutual funds. Because, and this is not going to be the case for all funds. If you have quantitatively driven funds or entirely algorithmically driven funds, they will see more churn. Momentum funds will see more churn. But at least with the Barossa philosophy, what we do is we use momentum cues and fundamental analysis, and our bias is always to keeping our portfolio static. We only change the portfolio if we see a very compelling case for changing the portfolio, which we believe will more than compensate you for any tax leakage, etc.
Okay, I'd also just like to add to this that if you really look at it, so if you look at short-term thing, there are gains and losses. Okay, so very often gains offset losses. And then if you talk about brokerage, if you're using a brokerage house like Zerodha, which has zero brokerage charge on delivery transactions, that also doesn't become an issue, right? So I think this has to be, so I have actually in my own thinking evaluated this quite carefully. And I have come to the conclusion that this is noise as far as my portfolio, which is quite large. And what is really important is, will this fund manager, the mutual fund manager or the small case manager, will they deliver more alpha or less alpha?
I don't agree with that entirely. I think it depends on the fund. It depends on the small case. So I think it's a very valid point, Padmanabh, that analyze the strategy in the context of how much churn you expect in the small case also, and factor that into your calculations, because it can make a material difference. Because even though there are losses to offset, et cetera, equity markets go up over time, right? So the gains are going to outweigh the losses. So I tend to agree that needs to be a factor that is considered to fully optimize the return. But I think more times than not, you're going to see the alpha out deliver the tax leakage.
Okay, next question. Small case rebalancing strategy. Does it explain why the selling partially? I notice few stocks have been sold, few not dropped completely. Right. So that what it means, I think, here is the questioner saying that you may change weights and you may not exit a stock totally. So that would be just partial kind of thing.
Yeah, so I think it's a good question, Sabah. The main reason is that small case actually doesn't have a very intuitive way to keep the weight exactly what it is at the period end. So you will sometimes see some small sales because as the publisher, we don't know what the exact composition is at that period in time. So it's hard for us to minimize that, but maybe with some improvements in the small case interface, we'll be able to remove that tiny selling that you're seeing.
Then the next question is, how do you choose Scripps equities in small case portfolio? Is it algorithm driven?
Good question, Dinesh. So it's a combination. We use algorithms to kick up interesting ideas for us. So I'll give you an example. So Sanjay really looks at the algorithmic side of the small case, and I do the fundamental research. So, Sanjay pointed out that Muthoot had been performing very well, and said, this might be an interesting stock for us to look at. The algorithm likes it. Do you want to take a look at it? And I said, yeah, it makes sense. I did the fundamental research on it. I like the stock. I like the story. It fit our strategy and view of the world going forward. And therefore we added it to the small case. So it's really a blend, 50% algorithm, 50% fundamental research, but no stock makes it into our portfolio without that fundamental once over. Maybe not an excruciating level of detail like we did for Muthoot, but you know, we at least apply a human filter to every single stock.
Okay. The next one is a suggestion saying that these compare things and all, can they be available as a download in Excel mode or CSV? So I don't know if they're already available.
They're not available, but I think that should be pretty easy to do. And
Yeah.
actually, that's quite a good suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the other things, you know, for all the members is that if you have suggestions like this, please send an email to advisory@Bharosa Club so that it doesn't get lost, right? Because anything that goes into advisory@bharosaclub.com is tracked. But otherwise, like we had this conversation, we may forget about it, you know. I don't think we will, but...
No, we won't forget this, but what we do is we maintain a parking lot of suggestions, and then in order of what we think would be easy to do plus high impact, we execute those first. But I think this should fall into the easy to do and high impact category. So yes, we'll do that.
Okay, then there are...
Padmanabh had a comment. Yeah, I agree with you, Padmanabh. The risk with going with one fund house is if that fund house has a broad strategy across all its funds that will underperform or outperform. I think that's a very relevant point. I think with the particular funds we've chosen, they're very diversified, very broad-based. There's definitely a strategy and etc. that's driving the funds to outperform. But the consistency of performance that Axis has shown is really best in class. And in terms of diversifying away, you know, I don't think we do it on the blue chip fund. We like the performance on the blue chip fund. We like the performance on the mid cap fund. And then you're really talking about the gold fund, which is really a commodity. And you're talking about the Axis Nifty 100 fund, which again will, you know, track in large degree the Nifty, and then the overnight fund, right? Which again, we think the simplicity of one fund house outweighs the risk that you've got a, you know, broad fund strategy that's going to underperform. Anything else?
No, I think, yeah. So there's just one comment that I wanted to make, and Sahil, and so I think there's some more questions coming up, but we're going to wind up. So if you have a question, please type it in. But the one comment that I wanted to make is that there are a lot of people who are members of Bharosa Club, and increasingly a lot more as the club grows will be members who either do not have the interest or they don't have the bandwidth to want to do a lot of analysis, right? And there are two ways of learning. You know, so Bharosa Club always likes to tell people that please don't outsource your thinking, do your analysis, etc. But there are lots of people who say, look, that's all good, but I don't have the time, or I don't have the desire or the expertise to do that. And there are two ways of learning. So one way of learning is by, you know, doing a lot of theory, lot of analysis, etc. And the other way of learning is by actually doing trial. So if you do trials with small sums of money in small cases or mutual funds and all, you will get a lot of practical learning instead of theoretical learning. So that is something that I think is a good combination strategy for some people to use. And if you want to do that, you know, then you should, by using the model portfolios exactly as they are prescribed, you're not going to go very wrong, okay, in terms of that, because we've done a fair amount of homework in putting those model portfolios there.
Okay,
but if you do have the desire, the time, and the patience to do your thing, that's much better.
Okay, there's one more question that's come in, which is basically, why are the Wealthsimple funds different from the model portfolio? And let me explain that. So in Wealthsimple, we are taking what we're doing really is that's a set it and forget it product where the money is going into an index fund, the ICICI Pru Index Sensex plan, and an overnight fund, right? And there's rebalancing and stuff that happens. Now, these funds could be from any fund house. It doesn't really matter. And we had chosen ICICI. For the model portfolio, the ICICI funds were not really doing that well. The other, like the large cap and the mid cap and things. And therefore, the model portfolio is different. So as far as Wealthsimple is concerned, it doesn't really matter whether it's Access Index Sensex plan or ICICI. There's no fund manager. These are just index funds.
In fact, we should probably move them to the lowest expense ratio fund. So we should be... Sorry, they're all identical.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. What is the limit or numbers of mutual fund one can carry in portfolio? Various folio numbers means few. So Leo, I'm not sure what the answer is to that. I mean, I don't know if there's a theoretical max limit on how many funds you can invest in, etc. But our advice to all our members and what we do in our own portfolios is to invest in as few products as possible to get the diversification that you need, because every additional fund that you add to your portfolio is going to be another fund that you need to track, stay on top of, monitor, and remember how much of a balance you've got invested in there. All these headaches come up, and we don't think they add incremental return because the funds themselves are diversified. So you won't need a very many mutual fund schemes to get a good degree of diversification if you pick the right ones. What are your views on momentum small cases like Capital Mind or MI? Who are they suited for? So a great question. I've been very impressed with the performance data I've seen on both Capital Mind, Momentum, and MI. I do have a suspicious bent towards pure momentum funds myself, because I feel like it's very dangerous to invest in something you don't understand. And I don't particularly understand the strategy in the level of detail that I want to, but Capital Mind is on my list of small cases that I want to do deep due diligence on, because I've been really, really impressed with their numbers. And what I'm going to do actually is do my homework on the fund and maybe even try and speak to the fund manager. And if I'm impressed with the fund, etc., then maybe I'll try and organize a Zoom session with him with Barossa members where you guys can, we'll moderate a session with him where he can advertise his fund to you guys and you guys can see if you like it or not. I think that's something that we really want to do for our members also. For any funds that you guys like, that you want us to do diligence, then I think we can do stuff like that. So,
right.
So short answer, Padmanabh, is impressive numbers. At this stage, I would not put any of my money in those funds until I really understand how they're delivering that performance. Because the biggest danger with these momentum funds is that they are all playing on certain algorithmic strategies without much filtration and without much human qualification. Like, for example, our algorithm, when COVID hit, had we not applied the human filter to it, it would have dramatically underperformed. Right? Because the algorithms worked in a particular market and they stopped working when that market changed, and we had to adapt quickly. And my fear with these momentum funds is that the algorithms may be well suited to the current market environment, but unless you really understand the bets they're making, it could change quickly.
Also, our algorithm was picking up Adani Green, okay, and that's when one went into the deeper side of Adani Green. It was definitely not something we wanted to include in our small case.
Abhijit, do you suggest change 60-40 or 20-80 type of Wealthsimple rebalance depending on market situation, like high PE of Nifty, etc.? I think that Abhijit, you should take a look at some of our videos that we did on portfolio allocation, asset allocation. I think some of our personal finance mystery to mastery will be helpful in figuring out what the right allocation is for you in terms of debt versus equity. Your specific question on the market PE, look, market timing is very, very hard. And I'm not convinced people can make money in a long-term way on timing the market. I certainly haven't been able to. Instead, what I recommend is whatever money that you can keep in equities invested for a 10-year period or more is safe to put into equities because it's a long-term asset. Then doesn't matter if the market crashes, doesn't matter if it goes down 20, 30%, you just hold. You don't need that money. And in the long run, if you're diversified in equity, you'll do just fine, right? Now, in terms of making incremental changes related to PE, you can certainly do that. And in terms of my view right now, I continue to think that the markets are not priced properly for the level of risk that's in the market. I think you're going to see when this loan moratorium is finally extinguished and suddenly people have to pay EMIs on debt that they haven't been paying EMIs for a very, very long time, 6 months, are they going to be able to pay their EMIs? Are they not going to be able to pay their EMIs? Are they going to be buying discretionary items? I just don't know. So that level of uncertainty to me does not jive with the market PE that I see. But again, market timing is very, very difficult. But on balance, I do not feel very good about the current prices in the equity markets. But if I had long-term money, I would still keep it invested in equities because it doesn't matter. But I would take away some of my medium-term money from equities. Hopefully that gives you some clarity on how to think about your own portfolio.
All right, I think that's it for now. So I hope you guys got value out of this session, and please keep your suggestions coming in to advisory@bharosaclub.com, and see you next weekend.
Bye guys.